all I'm saying is when I look at all of it, when I look at the photographic evidence, or I look at the fact that we haven't been back since 1972, when I look at the fact that no humans except the Apollo astronauts have ever gone through the Van Allen radiation belt, the fact that no one's even done a flyby around the moon since then, it seems weird to me. When I look at the press conference and I see Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong and Michael Collins nervous and weird and obviously like being deceptive after they came back, I go, what is that? I look at all that stuff. Now, when I look at that video, and some of the video that Seabro has, of them faking the distance between the Earth and the Moon, when they're shooting the Moon, or the Earth rather, through a circular window in the lunar module, and they have the windows blacked out, they're pretending that it's deep space, they're saying that they're 130,000 miles out, and then you see them pull the window curtains down, or the shade, whatever they have covering up with the windows, and you see that they're actually in near-Earth orbit. That makes me curious. When I look at the photographs and I see intersecting shadows. Now, I'm no photographic expert. I don't know anything about the moon, really, except stuff that I've read on the Internet. I'm no scientist. But when I see intersecting shadows that seem to show some sort of a different light source, or more than one light source, it looks odd to me. When I see that those crosshairs aren't over all the images, it looks cut and cropped to me. When I look at some of the photographs of the moon, I have this gigantic coffee table book, and it's all, a NASA book, and it's beautiful pictures of the moon and all these different photographs. Well, when I look at some of them, they look obviously fake. They look cut and cropped.
No human being ever, since the Apollo astronauts, has gone more than 400 miles up.
That's about right, yeah.
That's ridiculous. 260,000 miles there and back, and the best they can do since 1972 is 400 miles?
Yeah. And now, while you're saying it's ridiculous because you can't believe it, I think it's ridiculous because I can believe it very well.
But it's not like they're not spending money. And they keep talking about going back, but they talk about going back in 2020. Why go back in 2020 when you could just... That's the other problem. They don't have the telemetry data from the Apollo 11. Isn't that like the most important data? Isn't that like the most important thing? A huge technological achievement. They landed a man on the moon, brought him back, and they're missing the telemetry data? 14,000 something reels?
They're missing... A lot of that stuff was not...
Because you can't fake it. You can't fake the telemetry data.
One of the things that's most irritating about this conspiracy theory for someone like me is that a lot of this stuff is really subtle and complicated. And
14,000 reels of telemetry data for the most technological achievement in human history that's not stored in the Smithsonian Institute, it's not stored in NASA Vault, it's not labeled, it's not under lock and key, it's not in a gold vault. There's nothing weird about that.
I can't say anything about 14,000 reels. I don't know the number, and so
it's like 13,000 or 14,000. I forget. Either way, it's more than 100, which is crazy. You've lost more. If you lost more than 100 of the telemetry data, that's insane.
A lot of the stuff was owned by contractors. It was shelved. They weren't paid to store it, and it went
NASA.
away.
It's NASA. NASA lost it. This is the hard footage.
NASA is not just NASA. NASA is civil servants. NASA is 10 different contractors. There was Northrop Grumman. There was North American.
Nice. Yeah, Grumman lost all their stuff. So did Boeing. They lost all their information too on the moon buggy, on the lunar module. They lost all that stuff.
How
convenient.
It's another argument brought up by conspiracy theorists. Not to me. Each one of these missions, each one of these lunar landers was different. It's not like they designed a car and then just cranked them out. They had an overall design, and then each one was different. Each one they had to note all of these changes and everything, and it was all done on paper.
I gotta tell you, Phil, I'm not done with you, bitch.
Speaking of flying through space, you don't think the moon landing is real?
No, I don't. No. Do you?
Yeah.
Why do you think the moon landing is real? Why don't you tell me why?
I saw it on television.
Oh, you're a genius. Oh, beep that.
Okay, we'll bleep it. We'll bleep it. No, it's okay. We got it.
That's genius. You saw it on TV? That's awesome. I'm going to show you some CGI. I'm going to show you King Kong. I saw that on TV, too. There's an 80-foot gorilla. He's running around kidnapping white chicks. You should check it out. 1972 was the last time a human being has been through the Van Allen radiation belt. 1972. That's the last time. There's been only 7 trips ever that human beings have ever gone past 400 miles. Every single space station mission, every space shuttle, every satellite, all of those are inside the protective Van Allen radiation belts, which start at 1,000 miles. They go from 1,000 miles to, depending on who you ask, if you ask NASA, 24,000 miles. If you ask James Van Allen, the guy who discovered it, it's 67,000 miles of intense radiation that's in a gigantic donut band that covers around the Earth. Now, even if you got outside of that band, you have to deal with solar cycles. There's the apex of a 20-year solar cycle was between 1969 and 1972. All the time when these guys are making those missions. Any one of those guys out there in those tiny little aluminum shielded crafts would have been killed instantly during any solar flare.
Why fake it?
Thank you, Carl.
Why not fake it?
You should open with that.
If you look at any of the footage online, it looks ridiculous. It looks stupid. If you look at the videos, it looks ridiculous and dumb. You know why? Because in 1969, nobody anticipated that we were going to have VCRs and the internet. We were going to be able to watch that. They figured out a way to fake it. That's why when Neil Armstrong got back, first of all, he went insane. He went into a deep depression. So did Buzz Aldrin. He became a huge alcoholic. He gave no interviews. Neil Armstrong still to this day will not give interviews. He gave one speech that he gave at the 25th anniversary of the moon landing. And this is what he said in front of America's best honor students. He said, "We have here amongst us America's best and brightest." And the quote was, "You will achieve many great things if you could peel away one of truth's hidden layers." That's a speech this guy gives standing in front of the top honor students of the country. Not, "I went to the moon." He doesn't say that. He gives this cryptic speech. Now, Bill Clinton, in page 100, I think it's 156 of his book, My Life, he gives this story about how when he was a kid, he was working with this carpenter. And this carpenter said, you know, "I don't believe man landed on the moon." It was 3 months after the moon landing. And he said, "I thought that guy was ridiculous." He said, "You know what? I don't believe anything those TV fellows show you." He said, "After 8 years in the White House, I thought maybe that guy was ahead of his time."
Wow.
This is in Bill Clinton's autobiography.
Wow.
This is in his book. There's no way people went on the moon. There's no way.
By the way,
it's impossible today. China wants to go back to the moon. They don't even have a clue how to do it. They're going to try to get there in 2020. America thinks we could possibly go back in 2017. All of the hard data, the telemetry data, 14,000 reels is missing. No one can find it. What the telemetry data is, that's the binary data, the ones and the zeros that show the distance between the command module and the Earth during every step of the way on the way to the moon and back, which you can't fake. They don't have that. They can't find it, which you would think would be in a locked golden vault in the Smithsonian. But no, they can't find it. Well, they say, well, you know, they placed laser reflectors on the moon. You could shoot a laser beam. That's proof. Well, it's not proof because the Russians did it twice with unmanned probes. The Russians also collected space samples and samples of the moon.
Very amazing, and I've had these guys on. And
which guys?
You know, the different guys on the internet that are behind.
There's a lot of guys, and I've debated that one guy, that Phil Plait from Dinosaurs. I clown that guy.
The guy that gets in every astronaut's face.
Well, that guy's a crazy Christian, and he's nuts. Which is, you know what, you have to be a little crazy to look that deep into this theory, because it seems so solid. We went to the moon. It seems so solid until you look into it.
But here's the only thing. We can't keep anything quiet in this country.
It doesn't matter. No one's keeping it quiet.
Everybody
you can go look at it.
The astronauts, I mean,
those guys are afraid of their lives. Gus Grisham, the pilot who was the guy who died on the launch pad along with 2 of his friends, he was a public critic of NASA. He put a lemon, he hung it on the simulator, put a lemon and put it on a hanger and hung it. He was dead in that same cockpit. He died like 2 weeks later. He burned to death inside of that. They were terrified. This is a matter of life and death. These guys were in the middle of a huge Cold War between Russia, and they wanted to show that America had technological superiority. The race to the moon landing, all that stuff is not about going to the moon and collecting things. It's about military superiority. It's about the ability to do things with military technology. All that stuff they use for NASA, all the stuff they use for the stealth bomber, the space shuttle, all those missions, it's not for philanthropy missions. That's to fuel the military-industrial complex. The machine behind this is all the military. And getting to the moon first is making a statement that we have military technological superiority over Russia, and that's what they did. There's no way people went on the moon. There's no way. There's no way people went on the moon. There's no way. Neil Tyson, thank you very much for coming on here, man. This is an honor. This is a blast. I think the universe is going to explode. You are, for sure, the most requested podcast guest ever in the history of this podcast. So Brian and I have been doing this for 3 years, and we have come full cycle with your appearance here today.
Right.
Like you're very important. I don't know if you know how important, like, the cool guy scientist is.
I can't tell you how many times.
Very important.
No, so I have evidence of how important that is.
You know, I think one of the cool things about you and your approach to science is
I think it's very refreshing that if someone doesn't know something, you're not condescending about it. You're very enthusiastic about distributing the information, but you're not casting a judgment while you do that. And that is something that I think has freaked a lot of people out about really intelligent people or scientists or someone who talks about anything where they have no experiences. There's a sort of a condescending, sort of a carrying of that knowledge that you don't have.
Now, you were a moon guy for a while, right? Is that
Yeah,
right?
well, listen, my issues with not believing that people went on the moon, a lot of it had to do with a friend who had an uncle who worked at Rocketdyne. This guy was convinced that there was no way to do it. He was an engineer, and he said they were so far away from doing it that the fact that they did it, and they did it 7 times, but since looking at it, the weight of all the evidence, I reserve the possibility that some things were horseshit based on a lot of photographic evidence that they did fuck with.
Well, here's
like
the thing.
Gemini photos.
Yeah, but here it is. Here it is. If you look at like the fuel that was loaded up into the Saturn V rocket, you can calculate where that fuel could take that rocket. It's to the moon and back. So they're not going to the Piggly Wiggly, right?
Yeah.
In the Saturn V.
No, I'm a retard. Listen, if anybody has any real sense, they would look at it and say, "There's no way that was a hoax. There's no way. There's no way that was a hoax. There's no way.
There's no way people went on the moon. There's no way. There's no way people went on the moon. There's no way."
See? Honestly, moon landing shit, was it real? Was it not? It was not in the back of my mind.
Yeah, it wasn't in mine either, but I forgot that Russell's a moon guy. Look, I've argued with people, and I absolutely don't know. I don't know. I don't believe.
Joe, you were totally down for, you were the moon hoax crusader. Something.
No.
Listen,
Listen,
Joe, you were totally down for, you were the moon hoax crusader. Something.
No. Listen, man. Here's my issue. My issue is, how can I even argue it? But you chase your tail with this shit, man.
No, I'm not. I'm having fun. It's entertaining.
Do you really love it?
He loves it. Figuring out how we're being bullshitted is very.
But that's
I'm obsessed with it. How are they bullshitting us? I love that.
See, I like that. I love that. I like that Eddie's like this. I think you need people like this. Like he loves it. Like he loves it.
I think this is how crazy I am. I think we're being lied to about fucking everything.
Your kid's gonna grow up just super skeptical of everything.
Yeah. I'm already telling him don't trust anything you see on TV. We don't let him watch TV. We let him watch a little cartoons here and there, a little bit.
SpongeBob's corrupt as fuck.
But I'm going to raise him not trusting TV. You know, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. You can't say nobody would ever disagree with that. The TV is not good for kids. It's not good for kids.
Why don't you have a show on the Alex Jones channel? What has happened?
I agree.
You
what
went
the
there.
Fuck?
I went a total retard on him. I went full flat Earth on him.
Even he doesn't believe in flat Earth.
No. Most conspiracy theorists, do not. They think flat Earth is the most retarded thing ever. When Joe first brought it up, like about a year and a half ago, he said, "Dude," he was trying to basically say how stupid people are. He said, "Do you know people still believe the Earth is flat and the sun is 3,000 miles away?" And I remember sitting there thinking, "Shit, what are they, Amish or something? Like, how dumb do you have to be to think the world is flat?"
Videos later,
how dumb?
No.
And then you brought it up again. And then you brought it up again. You brought it up again, like maybe 6 months later, and I said on your podcast, I said, that is so dumb. That's got to be some kind of CIA psyop. It's got to be some kind of destruction.
Take a weird left turn.
And then I was in class, and we were talking about conspiracy theories, and my buddy Manny, full blown conspiracy theories.
Jiu-jitsu class.
He goes, do you ever my jiu-jitsu class? He goes, we're talking about my YouTube class.
I thought it was a conspiracy class.
No.
I was like, God, you go to school?
He teaches.
I teach.
No, I know that. I thought he meant like a straight class.
Open your eyes.
People how to
Look
kill
out the
Brendan.
door.
I'm very aware, brother.
Also, so Manny turns to me and goes, "Dude, you ever look into flat Earth?" This was like 8 months ago or something. And I said, when he said that,
Manny, you ever look into astronomy?
Yeah, right when he said that.
Manny, did you miss 4th grade?
Right when he said that.
Manny, anybody drop you on your head?
Manny, what are you smoking?
I can't believe anything that ever comes out of his mouth again. That's what I thought. I'm like, Jesus. And I'm like, Manny, please don't ever bring that shit up again. You keep that shit, dude.
Cut to.
Dude, that's a
We're
CIA
getting dramatic.
psyop.
I sense the turn.
So another guy comes, I'm telling you the story. And then Ernest comes up to me and he goes, hey, man, you ever look into flat Earth? I said, dude, Jesus goddamn Christ.
Okay,
I go,
so
that's
when
the
did it
dumbest
turn?
shit. And he goes, hey, man, I got a master's in engineering. Look into it. And I just wanted to go. I just went home and I was just going to
How about looking at what fucking school that was so we can tell people?
Phoenix Online.
But hey, man,
that's the same shit.
Yeah. I'm so crazy. I so don't believe anything.
You want something else to do.
Yeah, I tried to debunk it. I was trying to debunk it. I was Mr. Debunker.
Eddie, there's a fucking Japanese satellite that takes a photo from 22,000
miles out.
Those
are the worst
every 10
pictures
minutes.
ever. Come on, those Japanese.
It doesn't
pictures.
show that it's flat though, even if the pixel is all
Jamie,
fucked
pull
up.
up those pictures. It does
Those
not the worst
Japanese-
pictures.
put up those
Eddie,
Japanese pictures.
It's from 22,000 miles away.
I can't believe you believe those pictures.
Do you remember when you had a flip phone?
Man. I can't
You remember when you had a
believe
flip phone, dude, and the front-facing cameras were always dog shit?
Always.
And the back-facing one was pretty legit.
That's how it works, man.
22,000 miles away. It's hard to take a good iPhone 7.
You don't think the moon landing is real?
No, I don't. No. Do you?
Yeah.
Why do you think the moon landing is real? Why don't you tell me why?
I saw it on television.
Oh, you're a genius. Oh, beep that. Hit that.
We'll bleep it. No, it's okay. We got
That's genius. You saw it on TV? That's awesome. I'm going to show you some CGI. I'm going to show you King Kong. I saw that on TV, too. There's an 80-foot gorilla. He's running around kidnapping white chicks. You should check it out.
I was trying to debunk it. I was Mr. Debunker.
Eddie, there's a fucking Japanese satellite that takes a photo from 22,000
miles out.
miles
Those are the worst
every 10
pictures
minutes.
ever. Come on, those Japanese
It doesn't
pictures.
show that it's flat though, even if the pixel is all
Jamie,
fucked
pull
up.
up those pictures. It does
Those
not the worst
Japanese-
pictures.
put up those
Eddie,
Japanese pictures.
It's from 22,000 miles away.
I can't believe you believe those pictures.
Do you remember when you had a flip
pictures,
phone?
man. I can't
You remember when
believe
you had
it.
a flip phone, dude, and the front-facing cameras were always dog shit?
Always.
And the back-facing one was pretty legit.
That's how it works, man.
22,000 miles away. It's hard to take a good iPhone 7.
So have you ever seen a picture of it flat?
Hold on. Eddie,
No, I didn't say
Eddie,
that. I didn't say that.
Eddie.
But the crazy thing, I'm not saying it's flat. I'm just saying,
saying it's not
damn, when you
round?
look into it, I'm saying we don't know what the fuck we're on.
But wait a minute, Eddie.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know what we're on.
This Japanese
Look into
satellite.
it.
Hold on, Eddie. This Japanese satellite that all these hundreds of scientists worked on
Fake
for like
NASA.
a decade.
They faked moon
They shoot it out
landings.
into space.
They faked
take
the moon
a
landings.
picture every 10 minutes, and you can download it from the website. There's a
CGI
picture.
composites.
So constantly making CGI in some sort
Constantly.
of a computer
Constantly.
bank somewhere.
Yes. Like they
But
do it in
why-
NASA. NASA, that's what they do.
Why do you think if they have the technology to make CGI that looks that good, why don't they have the
How come
technology
where's
to
the pictures
shoot a
from NASA?
camera into space?
Where's the pictures from NASA? How come they don't have any?
They don't have that space kind of that
they
kind
don't
of
have the technology?
No, they just never did it.
They also
Eddie,
don't give a
Eddie,
fuck about proving it's round.
These
Eddie, they
Japanese
don't-
pictures, I've seen them. Put them
They
up.
don't
They're
have
terrible.
that kind of
Show me a
space
real
satellite.
picture. Show me a real
But
picture.
listen, NASA
Find
does
it.
not have one of those satellites.
Fake.
Why do you think that's fake?
That's
legit
fake
picture.
as fuck.
Why does it look fake
It
as
looks
fuck?
like something you'd see in a movie.
That's because when they do it in a movie, they try to make it look like this, which is what
man.
looks real.
If that's real to you, man, shit.
You don't think it's real?
They faked 6
Eddie,
moon
Eddie, dude,
landings.
stop saying that because it's irrelevant.
6
Eddie,
moon
Eddie, dude,
landings.
stop saying that because it's irrelevant.
There's no way people went on the moon. There's no way. There's no way people went on the moon. There's no way.
If that's real to you, man, shit.
You don't think it's real?
They faked 6
Eddie,
moon
Eddie, dude,
landings.
stop saying that because it's irrelevant. We're not talking
It
about the
looks
same
like- it
people.
looks fake to me.
Eddie, that's 1969. We're talking about 2017.
That looks fake
So
as
you
fuck.
think there's some gigantic conspiracy involving the Japanese government where they put up a fake picture of the Earth from 22,000 miles up every 10 minutes? High resolution,
yes.
downloadable
Yes.
photo. You think
Yes.
it's fake? Well,
It's all
why
fake.
wouldn't it be real? What isn't it just as likely that the Japanese actually did launch that thing into space? Why would it be fake?
Propaganda, man.
Okay,
Why
so
would they care that it's not
is there a
flat?
photo of this flat Earth?
No, I don't. Like I just said again.
That's all I asked.
There's
Is there a
there's
photo
no
of
there's
this-
no photo of the flat Earth from space. There's no photo of the round Earth from
That's
space.
not true. That's not
the
true.
truth. It's all fake.
No, those. Why do you say they're fake though?
There's-
What
they
evidence?
look fake. They look CGI.
But you're not an expert in imagery.
Looks fake to me.
Do you
What would
remember-
convince
hold
you,
on,
though?
hold
When I
on a
watch
second.
Avatar,
When
I
you
don't need to be an
watch-
expert to know it's
you went
fake.
to the
When I watch
movies,
Avatar,
Eddie.
I'm not an expert. It's fake.
Avatar's at the movies. When you watch some ridiculous kung fu video, being a martial arts expert, if you were sitting next to someone who told you that their sensei can't compete in the UFC because they're too deadly, wouldn't you get pissed off? Because you're an actual martial arts expert. That's just like you, with no science background whatsoever, talking about these photos. I know,
crazy.
But why think like that? Why,
I'm crazy.
But why indulge that?
I'm crazy.
But why not indulge?
Crazy.
Why not indulge the full realm of possibilities and not cling to the conspiracy every single time?
No. It's NASA can't get pictures. They've been doing CGI composites
but please answer
this
my
whole
question.
time.
Forget about stating what NASA does. Please answer my question. Why do you always go towards the conspiracy? Why do you never consider the possibility
Too many
that maybe?
lies.
But
Too
Eddie, they're
many
not
lies.
the same people.
It's all the same.
So everybody's lying?
It's a global thing. Yes, all the European space agencies lying.
They're
all in on it. It's a global thing.
So what do you think's going on up there?
I think all governments, most of them, the globalists, they're all working together to control their
What's
their
the
people.
advantage, though, Eddie, if the
so
Earth isn't
crazy.
round?
Yeah, I told you, I'm crazy. I'm crazy.
But what's the advantage that it's not round?
Then if
they control you, bro, with
they
the
just
ice
want to
wall.
fuck with us,
keep you on a. There's, I don't know, man. I don't know what it is.
Doesn't make sense.
Look
Why
into
wouldn't
it.
they
Look
make
into
sense?
it.
Why?
They can just control
Why
people
You
just
gotta
as
find
easily
out
on
and
a
find the
ball.
sense. You could find the sense.
No, the real
it's
problem
really easy.
would
You
be-
put them on a ball because, again, I'm crazy. You put them on a ball. My guess is you're on a ball. You're nowhere. Don't try to go anywhere. Just stay there and work.
Oh hell no!
Stay
You
there
saw
and
the
work.
Truman
You ain't
Show.
trying to go
You
nowhere.
watched the Truman Show a little too
They
much.
sat down and said, you know what? We got to release some fake math that shows that you can demonstrate that the Earth is round. We got to
Dude, there's no
release that.
pictures
We got to
of
work.
the Earth from space, man.
What is that? We just looked at one, Eddie. Stop saying that.
It was fake.
You don't know that it's fake.
Okay.
But you're saying, look, it's a real problem when you
I'm
say
crazy.
something. But don't say that.
I
Just
am.
stop. Just stop and think. Because you're communicating to millions of people. And
Exactly.
you're saying something that doesn't make any sense.
It does make sense.
But you don't know anything about imagery. You don't know anything
I don't?
about what. You don't know anything about that.
It looks fake to me.
You're
don't have a
saying
That's a
it
fake
looks,
ass
but you don't
picture.
have. Come on, Eddie. You're just looking at it with the naked eye. It looks real to everybody else in this room. I
Okay.
think you're
So
coming
what does
at
that
it
make
with
me?
a confirmation bias.
Crazy, right?
I don't think it makes you crazy.
I'm just having fun with it.
But you have
So
this
don't-
direct
yeah.
inclination to always go towards a conspiracy.
It
when I
doesn't.
think
Why
it's-
does it doesn't
it
have
gives
to
your
piss
opinion.
anybody off?
It's a disservice
You should just
towards
be like,
your
hey,
opinion.
that's what you think. Cool. No, it
it's-
doesn't have to. Like you're getting angry about.
No,
it.
I'm not getting angry at all.
Well, we're just
I'm
being
not even-
stoners here. We're
but
being
I'm not
stoners.
raising
I'm like,
my
I don't
voice.
believe that shit.
I'm not raising my voice. What I'm trying to do is corner your
sober.
ideas. I'm trying to corner your ideas because you're saying these things to. You're very influential. You're saying these things to millions of people, but
Yeah.
I don't think you're thinking correctly.
I'm telling. I know. That's why I've stated many times
that you're crazy. But
I'm
here's the
losing
problem.
my mind.
When when do you think you started losing it?
I think I was. As soon as I found out when I was 11 that everybody wasn't Catholic.
That was it.
That's when I started losing my mind.
That's
I'm like,
what
wait a
did it?
minute. I'm like, everybody's not Catholic? I thought everybody was Catholic. There's other religions? Then how do we know we're right? There's a bunch. What's a Jew? Oh, shit, there's more Jews than Catholics? How do we know we have the right religion? I'm like, okay.
You start
then
questioning
right there,
it.
yes. That's when I started going crazy.
That's so funny.
People that question authority are usually looked at as crazy. Conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, but it's
the CIA
no, but here's
coined the
problem.
term
Stop,
conspiracy
stop,
theorist.
You're a smart dude. You're
Here's
not crazy.
there's a problem in the way you approach these things because you approach them all knowing before you even start that they're a conspiracy.
I'm telling you what I
so
think.
that's confirmation bias.
I'm telling you, hey, dude, when you lie so much, you got to prove it to me. You lie so goddamn much, I'm never going to be saying the things that a defense
But you
attorney
don't
would
have
say.
to.
I'm saying the thing
No, I know,
that
you
the
keep saying that.
prosecuting
You
attorney
say
would
that
say.
all the time.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
not, but it's not a good. It's not a good analogy because it's court.
exactly how
and
I look
court's
at it.
filled with lies.
Yeah,
and you're allowed to manipulate the words.
government's on being accused of lying,
I understand,
and
but
they've
this
been
is-
caught
but that's-
lying.
but you-
So they're in court.
But here,
so are
Eddie,
you
it's
saying
not the
let me
government.
finish, though.
It's not the government.
Oh, whoever, just in general.
It's scientists.
It's all government
scientists.
scientists. You think scientists? You think there's these independent scientists coming? It's all government scientists. They're all trying
But
to
why
get
would
their
you
grants.
think-
They're all.
why
they
would you
gotta,
think?
They control. You don't think the globalists aren't haven't controlled
the problem
science
is?
and
The problem
information
is?
since day one?
You know what
You
the
think this
problem
is like a new
Brendan?
thing?
Their name, the globalists.
Dude,
if
I'll
they
tell
were
you
the
right now.
flattest, they would be like, yeah, it's flat.
It's flat.
But they're like, no, fuck these guys. We're globalists.
No, the
We're gonna
globalist
talk
is
to these
what
bitches.
Alex
I feel
calls
like Eddie
people
could flip me if we just spent like a day together.
I think you're just trying to make fun.
Hey, I'm just having fun, man. I like finding.
I don't think Eddie's crazy, though.
I don't trust shit coming from the government. Well, does that make me crazy?
But
yes.
The problem
He's got a little too deep, but he's
the
not
problem
crazy.
is this idea of the government. The government consists of a bunch of
They
individuals
control science. They
with
control
100
history.
different agencies. Eddie, do you
Yeah,
know
I
they
get
have
pissed hard.
infighting? Do you know like the CIA and the FBI go after each other?
Of course they do.
There's no one government.
There's a lot of personal shit going on in between. Of course,
But it's not just personal shit. There's a bunch of different factions that you call the government.
I agree.
And the idea that it's
I agree
all
with
like
you.
the government can't be trusted.
I just say that because I'm not going to. I mean, you want me to pick out some agencies? Yeah, NASA. I could pick out some NIST. I could, but just in general, it's history, science, education, energy. Everything has always been controlled by the government since day one. Radio has been used as propaganda since the day it was invented. You think some independent dude just invented radio and then he started broadcasting like his favorite music and shit and his thoughts? No, it was the government from day one in radio. It was the government in all countries from day one in TV, in the movies. It was all radio, TV, and the movies have always been about propaganda. Always in every country. It's nothing new. It's old school gangsters. Our country is the most
What does this have
gangster.
to do with? What does this have to do with the world being?
No,
flat?
this is how gangster our government is. There was a war on drugs. We started a war on drugs. Turns out we're bringing it in. Then there's a war on terrorism. Turns out we created Al Qaeda. You understand why I'm crazy? I'm crazy because of that shit. I'm like, you could believe that shit. You want to believe that shit?
But the
Good luck,
problem
but I
is
ain't.
that you just apply this to everything.
Basically, anything
Even
coming from the
dinosaurs.
government. Anything coming from the government.
The dinosaurs don't come from the government.
Just there's so much fraud when you look into it.
Astronomy
I don't
doesn't
trust
come from the
shit.
government. It comes from scientists.
Look into it, man.
But Eddie, I have looked into it. Look,
Dinosaurs are for kids.
Look, this is you could go over these different
That looks
sections
so fake.
of the Earth.
That looks
yeah,
so
well, you can look at the next one that comes 10 minutes later. Maybe you won't think that one's fake. Like, oh wow, that one's kind of real.
It looks all fake.
It doesn't look fake. To me, it looks like what the fucking Earth probably looks like when you're 22,000 miles away.
To you, it does, not to me.
But
This is NASA's. By
It's
the
no
way.
big deal.
Oh, so NASA
can
has
we
one
agree
too.
to disagree?
Yeah, but why think that it does?
Because I don't trust
why,
shit.
Why think that
I don't trust
the
shit.
government does make these fake pictures of the Earth? Don't you think that would be
You know,
like a
we could
risky
speculate.
thing?
You want to speculate? I mean, I could
Sure.
speculate.
I wanna
don't
hear
know.
you speculate.
It's easier to control people when they're on a ball.
I've been trying to tell people that forever.
I don't know.
But like, we got to live on a ball. I told it to my wife. I said, it'd be easy to get the kids to listen if we just lived on a ball.
Lived
Fuck
on a
this
ball.
house bullshit.
I don't know, man.
house shit.
I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to believe.
That doesn't even make any sense. Why would it be easier to get people to listen if they're on a ball rather than they're on a plate?
Because if there's more land, people are going to want to work. There's actually more land. Shit.
What do you mean? There's more land.
Who knows? If you
like the
yeah,
world's
exactly.
like
That's
What are you talking about? I don't understand what you're talking about. Like more land.
You're saying if the world is flat and the flat Earth model is true, what's the point of it? What's the point of?
So all the math is fake,
the
like
point?
that the Earth is going 24 hours in a circle. Is that all fake? That it spins, it's going
Gravity.
1,000 miles an hour.
I don't. When you look
Spins,
into it,
corkscrews.
we're stationary. They haven't
Corkscrews.
proved. There's if you
Oh,
look
we're
into the
stationary.
experiments. If you look into the experiments to prove that the Earth is spinning, all of them failed. Look into it.
What are you
you could just think that. We've been indoctrinated into thinking
that's
that.
not true. That's not true.
Okay, I'm crazy. I get it.
Eddie, Jamie, what you gonna say?
I don't have the science in my head to back it up either, but that's not true. You can't say things like that. That's what Eric Dubay says, and he's not backing it up.
Where's the evidence that? Find the evidence.
There are
that
13-year-old kids in
moving.
high school right now that can show you the evidence with
Well, what is it?
scientific.
How come you can't show it to me?
Because I'm not in class right now,
Well,
and I'm not up to date. I'm doing JRE work right now.
Okay, you're talking about some shit you don't know about.
Camera.
You're
No,
talking about some
but
shit
so
you don't know
are
about.
you. But you're saying
I'm just saying I don't trust it.
You're saying something that people have been proving for hundreds and hundreds of
Look
years.
into the Michelson-Morley experiments. That was Einstein said it himself. Einstein said to this day, Einstein said it.
Don't
there is
bring
no
him into
proof
this.
that we're moving. Dude, you guys just haven't looked into it. That's all it is.
You're
You
watching
guys haven't
YouTube
looked into
videos,
it.
Eddie. There's a difference between looking into it and watching YouTube videos.
So
You
let's say
can-
this. Okay, so
do
what
you
if?
watch
What
them
if it's
all
true?
from the same channel?
Okay, what if it's true that Albert Einstein said there is no evidence that the Earth is spinning? What if he says he said a quote? You say that's not true. I saw it on YouTube. But what if we find out that it is true? Then what?
What if they find out leprechauns are really butt-fucking genies
That's
on the
what
moon?
I thought. That's what I thought.
What does that mean?
That's what I said. So you're saying, oh,
do you really
it's
think
on
that
YouTube? You
Einstein
really
said that?
Look at
maybe in
I don't know.
1947 there wasn't much evidence that the Earth was spinning because they didn't understand it yet.
Okay.
But when you're talking about something that happened more than a half a century ago, Einstein is, look, you compare all the people that are alive today, whether it's Lawrence Krauss or Stephen Hawking's most famous failed experiment.
That's the Michelson-Morley experiment. It was on. They couldn't recreate it. It was in the 1880s. I looked this up when I was watching the podcast.
True science
okay,
is
so listen to what he just said.
To recreate it.
No,
right.
Eddie, exactly.
You keep using that. Look at the Michelson-Morley experiments. I did. I read up information on it. It's an experiment that was supposed to be able to be recreated. It was not able to be recreated. So that evidence is used by flat Earth supporting people. Like you just said, like, go look it up, go look it up.
Yeah,
so
true
I did
science
look it
is
up.
repeatable. You can't repeat
Eddie,
it. It's not real science.
You don't understand
That's
what
you're
saying.
saying. I'm trying to tell you that. That's the evidence you were trying to say. It's fake.
They say the experiment showed the Earth is not spinning. No one can reproduce that experiment. That's why it's not real. So this thing that you keep repeating is bullshit.
Okay.
And this thing that you keep, but don't, no.
Hey, where did you get this information?
Jamie.
Where'd you get it?
Where'd I get what?
This information. Where is this coming from?
This is coming off the internet.
Exactly. So you're reading some information. I'm reading some information off the internet. You didn't go to the library.
Slow
it's on Wikipedia.
Just slow down.
Eddie, stop doing
There's sources here. There's a book called The American Journal of Science. I'm sure that a lot of people respect
which is
that.
bought and paid for.
Well, maybe.
It is. It's bought and paid for. It's part of that.
Here's the thing, Eddie.
It's like the Washington Post.
Eddie, why would anybody be paying money for people to lie about the world spinning?
That's a very good question that everybody asks coming in. Everybody asks that
into the group.
Yeah,
have a seat. Have some
get
coffee.
knocked down.
My name's Eddie.
One by one, they're getting knocked down.
Hi, Eddie.
All you gotta do is look
Eddie,
into
they're
it.
not. They're not. They're
It's
not.
huge.
They're
Flat
not getting
Earth is
knocked
huge.
down. That's why we just read this thing that you've been citing, and you didn't even understand it when we were reading it.
You read off the internet.
But that's
you
how
read off the internet. I read it off the internet too. I read it off the internet too.
I don't have any books here. I'll go find the encyclopedia if you want.
No, we're both reading off the internet. We're both getting our information off the internet.
So you're saying
one
who's
of
right?
them is peer-reviewed journals from scientists.
From American Journal of Science. Come on,
internet
that's
is
like
also
NIST.
data
That's NIST.
and
That's like
Eddie,
that's like The Economist.
So you think it's more likely that everyone is in on it and lying than it is one guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about and he makes a YouTube video and you get convinced. And it's attractive to you because it seems like it would be an amazing conspiracy to be ahead of. And you get trapped in the fucking rabbit hole and you go down the flat earth rabbit hole and you find yourself defending things with experiments that you don't even understand, which means you haven't
just
really
read
looked
some
into
shit that he pulled up off the internet,
But
and
I know that you don't
and you're
understand
like
it.
all over it.
I know you didn't understand
No,
it.
I understand it now. It doesn't matter.
Twice.
It doesn't matter.
But I understood it, and he had explained it to you twice. You didn't understand it. You were arguing
No,
for it.
no. This is the proof. Now I understand it. There was an experiment to prove that the Earth wasn't moving,
And it was not repeatable.
And then they proved it, but it
No.
But
No, they didn't prove it.
No.
They didn't.
I get they didn't prove it, but
Right.
that doesn't mean that it's spinning.
Oh, Jamie, I'm sure you can find some evidence that the Earth is spinning. Eddie, people have known it's spinning forever. That's how the seasons
Gravity,
work.
baby.
That's how you see the sun. We spin around. That's why it
Okay,
makes
explain this
eclipses.
to me.
That's why you can
age,
track
too.
time zones. That's why you can put a piece of stick in the ground.
You're saying all the correct shit.
It acts as a sundial.
You're saying all the shit.
Eddie, there's
you would say.
a fundamental problem with the way you approach these things.
No,
And
there's not a problem.
The problem is you
I don't
go
trust
into
shit.
them.
You do.
But it's not that I
don't have a
trust shit.
problem.
No, but Eddie, you know I don't trust shit.
I'm having fun
you
with
know
it.
I don't.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if
That's
it's
a
flat
bad-
or round. It
that
doesn't
is
matter.
That's
I'm
a
having
bad
fun with it.
fallback. You keep saying that. It's a bad fallback because what we're saying is there are conspiracies. The problem is when you think everything is a conspiracy, you act as a psyop guy and you fuck people over that want to look at real conspiracies. Because the real
That's
conspiracies
what I
like
thought too.
the Gulf of
That's what I thought, too.
Tonkin. Oh,
That's what I thought too.
okay. Like the Gulf of Tonkin, real, like Operation Northwoods, real things that really happened. When you look at those things and people explore them, they go, "Oh, I don't think they really killed Kennedy." Are you sure? Why don't you look at this? Look at this stuff. There's a lot of really crazy evidence. When you start thinking that the world is flat, the dinosaurs aren't real, all this nutty shit that you believe, and you just jump into it with, the problem is it discredits all these other things that you believe that might be real. Because the other things have some validity to them.
You just haven't looked into it. That's all.
Eddie.
I used to say the same
Eddie,
stuff.
you're talking about the
I
Earth being
said this-
flat.
I'm
Thousands of
saying the
scientists
same
have
thing.
looked into it. You think they're all wrong? That's so insane.
You haven't looked into it.
I have.
No, you have.
Oh my God. How could I not have? You don't think I have? I'm watching you go down the rabbit hole. You don't think I've tried to pay attention to what the fuck these people are talking about? It doesn't work.
I don't think so.
Eddie, there's websites dedicated to debunking it. There's dedicated to showing you the science,
On the
showing
internet.
you the math that you can do.
How come when you check the internet it's valid, but when I'm on the internet it's not?
You're not talking about the internet. You're talking about a guy's YouTube video.
No, it's not guys. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of people.
Okay. But they're just YouTube videos,
It's huge.
Eddie.
No.
The science behind them
It's huge.
is not verified by peer-reviewed journals. The science of the earth and gravity.
The government science that's bought and paid for, of course. You start talking about
Eddie, this
flat
is
Earth
so
and the
crazy.
science. Oh, you just
You
haven't
think
looked
the Earth
into
is
it.
flat?
I didn't say that. I said I don't know if it's flat or round. When I see a picture of Earth from space, what we're sitting on from space, when I see a real picture, then we'll have the proof. I'm just saying we don't even have proof that it's round.
No, we're looking at pictures while we're sitting here. Okay, you're not even taking into consideration the fact that this is a monitor. That you're looking at this, you're not even get like the high resolution. I mean, they must be gigantic files that they get. You would never be able to see them in their actual resolution on a regular monitor in the first place. You're talking about a photo of the Earth. Photo of the Earth from 22,000 miles away, and they take one every fucking
Looks
10 minutes.
CGI to me.
The only way you're going to convince them, Joe,
it might look CGI to you.
You'd have to jump in a
I could
ship
be wrong.
and go yourself.
No, I could be wrong. It could be real.
There's too many things
It
that
could
you
be
don't
real,
believe
but
in.
they've been faking them so much they look like all
That's
those other
but
fake ones.
that's not
They
good
look.
enough.
I've seen so many fake ones that NASA admits that they're CGI composites. There's so many out there. So when you see this one, it's like this is the same one.
Yeah, but
I've seen so many.
Fake
You go,
and
this
CGI
is another one.
composites is different. When
You
you
could
take,
believe it. I don't believe it.
Eddie, please. When you take one of these photos, these what are those called? When you fucking do that?
panorama. I'll show you.
Panorama.
When you do that, you know what that is? That's a composite. You're taking a bunch of photographs and they piece them all together. It makes one enormous photo. When you see these photos from space of the Earth from a closer satellite, not the NASA one that Jamie just pulled up, which does show a full-size image of the Earth, what you're seeing is they take a photo, they take another photo, and they piece them all together. There's no seams.
This is a composite
No,
photo.
no,
I
there's
took.
an actual
This
CGI
is 3
artist.
photos.
There's
They
a
put them
CGI.
together.
I know,
no,
but
they fit together.
That colors everything
Eddie,
in.
Eddie, is this CGI?
No, no.
Hey, question for you. Is this CGI because it was made in a computer and it fits the definition of computer-generated image? Because that's a composite.
This one could easily be.
I made this.
This one.
I'll
this,
show you how
this
I made
could
it.
be. No. I'm just saying. But this could be easily a real picture.
But it is
Easily.
a real picture.
Well,
But
yeah,
it
it's
could
like
not.
that's not a hard picture.
Where I was-
picture of Earth from space. That's a hard picture.
Where I physically was on the ground in New York City to take that with the camera I was using, that building would not fit in my lens. I wasn't far enough away.
But that's not what they're saying they're doing. They're saying they take strips.
That's what they're saying they do.
No, they're saying, I'm going to show you a video of the artist who actually did the latest one. They go, oh, NASA, here's the guy who did the latest
tell
picture.
us what to look at. Tell us what to look at. Let's watch the video.
Just put NASA artist
I can't wait
CGI
to see
picture of Earth, and you're going to hear him talking. And he says, it is Photoshop. It is Photoshop, but it has to be Photoshop. He says that word for word.
It's so big.
It's a NASA video.
Well, that's
what
what
does
I was
that
just
mean?
asking you to. I was
don't
asking you
know.
to clarify that. I'm trying to tell you. That's what I literally had to do. I had to have been farther away to get the photo in one photo of that giant building. But that, in order to get that distance away,
Did you color it in with CGI?
There were buildings in the way.
So you're saying
I put
they
it in
color it.
Photoshop.
Yes.
I put
He's
it in
talking
Photoshop.
About, he's going through the video going, sometimes I put green shades here, and I'm not an astronaut. I've never been to space, so I have to kind of use my imagination to
Well, are
get
they
it.
taking black and
It's
white
the
photos?
latest
Is that
picture.
why?
It's the
Well, the
latest
color-
picture that NASA releases of Earth. Here's the latest one.
Real
and then
life
the
didn't look
CGI
like this that day. It's a little exaggerated. The darks aren't that dark in real life. The brights aren't that bright in real life. So yes, I added color to it. I did some artistry to it, but
That's bullshit.
that's what that fucking building looks like.
Okay, now find the CGI
Do you ever,
NASA
Eddie,
artist.
do
I
you
would love
buy
to see
into
that
anything?
video.
Do you believe anything?
I believe shit that I could prove for myself.
you
Like
like-
I believe the science in like a skyscraper.
You
Why?
believe
Because I
that's
see the
Sully?
skyscraper. It's standing there. That's truth.
Right, but how much?
I believe in that
How much
science.
have you looked into like the science of space travel? How much have you looked into how much work was done to try to put satellites into orbit?
So you think we went to the moon?
That's not what I asked you. I said, how much did you look
Do you
into
think we
that?
went to the moon?
Eddie, answer my fucking
How come you don't
question.
answer my
you talk
question?
ridiculous.
So
because
you're
you
trying to
talk
add-
in circles.
Okay,
You're
all right.
talking in circles.
I am.
There's no way people went on the moon. There's no way. There's no way people went on the moon. There's no way.
So you think we went to the moon?
That's not what I asked you. I said, how much did you look
Do you
into
think we
that?
went to the moon?
Eddie, answer my fucking
How come you don't
question.
answer my
you talk
question?
ridiculous.
So
because
you're
you
trying to
talk
add-
in circles.
Okay,
You're
all right.
talking in circles.
I am?
They're ridiculous conversations. Everything
Really?
is the government. The government. The government. The government's fake.
Fake pictures. Watch.
I'm just asking you a question.
Punch up NASA CGI artist picture of Earth. I don't see that up there.
Eddie, it's so crazy.
Which one would you like me to click on?
Any of them.
Well,
that one right there, the second one right there.
This one?
Right there,
Flat
yeah.
Earth.
Flat Earth.
I mean,
no, just listen to him talk.
Okay, Stinky
He only has
Cash.
20,000 views.
Well, it's going to get more now.
Hey guys, Jeff here, and today I want to share with you this article that's on
guy seems legit.
NASA.gov.
Are we allowed to play this?
This is the guy who's a scientist.
AKA
So are we listening to him or the guy that made the video? You said we were going to listen to a scientist.
Well,
forgot from
it
NASA.
looked like the right video. I don't know. Look,
Maybe
but that
we
is
got
the
the
guy.
wrong
That
video.
is the artist, and that's a picture of the video.
His
He's
name's
talking
Robert Simmons.
talking about how he created the latest picture of Earth for NASA.
Okay, so what
They're
this
celebrating
is, this is
CGI.
the Goddard. It's from the Goddard webpage. So he's doing a recap of something that's written on the Goddard webpage. So go to the Goddard webpage, find that guy's page,
Robert Simmons Photoshop. There it was.
and we'll see what he's actually
Blue
saying.
marble.
This one, I think so.
Simmons' job is...
It's primarily taking data and making pictures out of it.
That's what this is. A composite of data sets from several different instruments translated into a picture.
In between each orbit.
So some of those are painted on.
It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Is that it?
That
Okay,
guy looks
good.
so
Blow
skeptical in
homeboy
his
up.
picture.
What do you think is the most interesting your role here at Goddard? How do you help support Goddard's mission? My role is to make imagery from Earth science's data. I turn data into pictures. I look for new interesting events that NASA satellites have seen or that are hidden in the latest data to find anything interesting that shows off NASA's unique capabilities. Finding things is the fun part. I rely on engineers and scientists to produce the data. Their reliable real-time stream of 1.7 terabytes a day, holy shit, is incredible.
Terabytes.
The same as producing 3,000 CDs a day. We know where to look for the interesting stuff because each instrument provides a very specialized type of information. So if I'm looking for something specific, I know where to look. For example, recently there was a volcanic eruption in the Red Sea. The only reliable imagery of this was from NASA satellites. We basically confirmed the existence of a new island. Okay. So let's get to some Photoshop
You got to find the one where he's talking.
Okay, but this guy's talking about science here. Like, some of the science has to be real, right, Eddie? Like, there has to be some satellites, like DirecTV. DirecTV's not fake, right?
I don't know. I don't know, but you could do all that with landline stuff. You don't need to go bounce anything from space. You could do all that with landline.
Why wouldn't you? You could just put it in space and it just broadcasts and you shoot it up there and shoot it back. Why would you lie about that? I mean, there's a ton of fucking space junk.
Satellite's easy. Satellite's easy. Every time they
satellites
you know
are
who
fake?
pays for satellites? You know who pays for satellites? The taxpayer. They get bills. We need a new telecommunications satellite. We got to
Okay.
throw it up there.
So you don't
we need
think-
$35 million.
You don't think
and they go,
satellites-
yeah, okay, we're going to sign it. They get the
Oh my
money.
God.
It's a tax scam.
You don't think satellites are real?
I don't think so.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't think so.
Well, what's happening? What are those things up there that you can watch from the ground?
Have you ever seen the space station fly overhead?
You can see it.
They can
I've never
time
seen
it.
it.
I have pictures of it. They timed it. They told me it was going to be overhead. I took a picture of it.
How do you know it wasn't a high altitude plane? What's the difference?
Why would they do that? Why would they lie? Why would they pretend it's a space station and instead put a high altitude plane up there?
How high do airplanes go? 30,000 feet, right?
No, they can go higher.
No,
they
but
go 50,
no,
50 plus.
Commercial airplanes, on average,
I
go
think
about
they're somewhere in the
30,000.
30s, yeah.
30, 35,000.
Right.
When you're on the ground, you can barely see them. When they're at 30,000 feet, you can barely fucking. And when you're in 30,000 feet and you look down, you wouldn't be able to see a goddamn bus or a plane. Now, those satellites are supposed to be like 100 miles up. Think about that.
Yeah,
How are you going to see them?
Because they're in space and they're a light. They're a very small pinprick of light that moves across the sky. You can see them with optics.
Okay, I've never seen them.
Okay, but you really haven't looked, and you definitely haven't looked with optics. If you look with like a big spotting scope, these people get these telescopes, and they look up, and they know exactly where it's going to be. You can actually program it into the telescope. There's things that you can download where you can find the coordinates of each individual planet. The way these really super powerful telescopes use, that amateur astronomers like to use, you punch in the key numbers, and it'll move specifically to a spot in the sky where you can tune into the moon or tune into Saturn or into very specific areas of the cosmos that change all the time. Because of the fact that the Earth is spinning, we're catching all sorts of different shit all sorts of different times, especially no matter where you are. If you're on the equator, you're looking at a totally different image, at one moment in the sky than you are the next moment. So it can tell you exactly where the space station's going to be, where the moon's going to be, where Mars is going to be, and they punch these coordinates into these little computers, and they all move to this thing.
You believe the Mars rover is real?
Man, Eddie, I don't think I can do this anymore. because it's just like I don't see why. First of all, I don't see
You were
where
just
the
telling
money
before
is. I don't see. Hold on a second. I don't see where the money is to have all these hoaxes.
You don't see the tax scam with the rovers? They just got NASA got $19 billion for Trump gave them $19 billion. What?
Isn't it possible so that they can actually make a rover?
Tell me what the space shuttle has done for humanity. Tell me all that money that was wasted on space shuttle, and then they just trashed it. They went up, I don't know how many times, and then they just trashed it. Tell me how those billions of dollars has helped humanity. Tell me.
Well, I think scientific innovation is very important to us because in our minds, we constantly want newer, better, more innovative technology. This is a part of being a person in the 21st century.
What did we learn, though?
Everybody wants a new computer. Everybody wants new things. And a lot of this new stuff comes from NASA technology. It comes from all the science and innovation that goes to be a part of me. There's a list right there, Eddie. But why do you say this when you don't look into it?
I just need tell me how
highway safety.
How come we couldn't do that down
tires,
here? How come we couldn't do that down
Eddie,
here?
But the massive requirements that you have on the gear when you're talking about going through fucking space, the insane stress of re-entry. They've figured out all kinds of crazy shit. The speed in which you land. They figured out a bunch of crazy shit. Enriched baby food. I mean, portable cordless vacuums, freeze-drying technology. All this comes from space. There's a shitload of things that they figured out. Harnessing solar energy. There's a lot of innovation that comes from the development of either the space station or the shuttles or a bunch of different things that they've invented. And they continue to innovate these things.
NASA urine recycler, test 1, sample 1. It's the first water we've got out of the machine. This will allow astronauts to recycle their urine and sweat into beautiful, clean, clear drinking water. First sample, transparency, subpar.
Oh, that's just piss. That's just straight up piss.
These new satellites that they're shooting out into space are way better than the Hubble. They keep doing more and more, better and better, and it's this constant rush to see who can get to the furthest point of technology in whatever field they're in. Whether it's the field of rocketry, whether it's the field of satellites, there's this massive amount of competition between the top scientists in the world. And to think that that's all fake doesn't make any sense because there are some things that are fake. So why assume that all this technology is fake when you really could see the Challenger? You saw the Challenger explode in the sky. If it's fake, no one was there to engineer the shit that failed.
Who said that was fake?
Well, any space travel.
The space shuttle's going up. It's a high altitude
Did you know
plane.
the space shuttle goes up and they use work on fucking satellites?
I didn't
Do you know
know
they dock with the space station?
I need to see video of that.
Oh, okay.
Show me video of that.
That's what spacewalks are usually about.
Jamie hit it.
They do. There's a lot. The problem is there's a lot of these things that you just automatically want.
Dude, they faked 6 moon missions, dude. Of course, I don't trust shit coming from NASA.
Even if that was true, those are people in 1969. They're not the same humans. Those people they're not the same human beings. That's just like saying that the people who made the movies in 1969 are the same people that made Fast and Furious 8. It's the people that make the movies. They're not the same people. They're totally different humans. It's like saying the stand-up comedians from 1969 were the same as the one.
But that was NASA in 1969. They faked 6 moon missions. How am I supposed to believe anything from that?
Those are not the same people.
How?
Even if that was true, those are not the same people, and Richard Nixon isn't alive anymore.
So you just write them all off, though, Eddie? Just off that
you
one
gotta prove
exception?
it to me. I don't need to believe it.
But
I don't need to believe it. It's not gonna.
How
is it gonna? I don't believe it. But if it's true, I don't give a shit. Okay, it's true. Oh, that's true. Okay, but you got to prove it to me. Otherwise,
the problem isn't that.
I don't care.
The problem is there's no proving it, and you want to always assume that it's fake. You don't have like this empty prove it to me. Like I'm not assuming either way. You're assuming it's fake every time.
Mm-hmm. They faked 6 moon missions.
But that doesn't matter. These are not the same people.
So because they're different people, they're not going to. I don't understand that logic.
Well, the logic is just because someone faked something one point in time before you were alive, doesn't mean that those same human beings have managed to download their brains into everybody that ever did that job for the rest of time, because they're not the same humans.
But
so the
that
people
could
that
be
are
the
scientists
exception.
that are today, the generations later, whether it's NASA or these Japanese scientists or the Russians or the Chinese, whoever the fuck is putting satellites and rockets into space, they're not the same people from 1969.
Okay.
You can't like look at them as like in one blanket organization.
I can't blame NASA, 1969 NASA with Warner von Braun at Nazi. I can't blame today's NASA for all the lies from, is that what you're saying, from the early 70s?
I'm saying, do you believe that the space shuttles were real?
No, I do believe the space shuttles are real.
Why just that?
Yeah.
Why
because
just that?
I've saw plenty of video of them, like
So do you
landing
think
and
they
shit,
just made
and
the
then they
space
take
shuttle
off.
and that's it? Everything else bullshit?
No, they made the Saturn V rockets and they launched them.
Okay, so do you
I
think
don't know
that
where
people
they
went
went
into orbit? Do you
I don't
think
know.
people went into orbit or
I don't
no?
know how high people are going.
Right.
I don't know. I'm
You
not
don't-
sure.
you don't
I don't
know.
I know they're going high, but I don't know how high.
So why would you assume that any of it is fake?
They faked 6 moon missions.
Okay, you keep saying that.
No, but that's why.
Yeah, but we're
That's
not
why.
talking about the same people, Eddie.
But it doesn't matter. It's the same organization.
The problem is
They're worse
you've
today than
turned
me.
them into they. As soon as you say they.
But no,
You've,
now let
like,
me ask you
locked them
something.
into a group.
Let me ask you, Brendan. Do you see that how I can't trust NASA because even though it was different people in 1969 to 1973, even though the NASA of today aren't the ones that faked 6 moon missions and stole billions of dollars from American taxpayers, just because the guys from today somehow they got weeded out, and then NASA, I don't know that they got weeded out and then NASA became this honest agency of the government.
Yeah, but
I don't know that. I'm going to assume no. I think it's still part of the
But
same
Eddie,
shit.
that's like
that's
me,
what I'm going to assume.
but
I could be
Eddie,
wrong. I could be wrong.
But let's say those 6 missions were all bullshit and was fake. You're going off the exception, not the general rule. So it's like me coming into your academy and some guy's a dick. I'm like, all those 10th Planet guys are dicks. Like, you're just lumping all of them in the same fucking category.
That was big shit, though. It wasn't like side project NASA employees.
Do you hear what he's
NASA.
saying, though?
This is
Do you
landing
understand
on
what
the
he's saying?
No, I understand. He's saying the same thing you said. He's saying that
And what
just
do you think of
because...
that?
Dude, that was
You don't think
the moon
there's some
landings were
legit?
so gigantic and so global and the greatest achievement
beat
of
Russia.
mankind, and they don't even have the records anymore. Joe, you know what I'm talking about. We were talking about this earlier, man. You were talking about this earlier. You know all that moon. You know,
Telemetry data is missing.
yeah. So
All
you know what the head of
original
NASA on
videos.
video says? He says, "Yeah, we don't have it. It's missing, or maybe it's stolen. But even if we did, the head of NASA, even if we did have the tapes." We don't have the machines to play them anymore, so it really doesn't matter. Come on, man. The dumbest retard detective on the planet would be suspicious. That's just
Of
me. I'm
that
like,
mission, but you can't just lump all. Oh, it's all bullshit then.
You know what
Everything's
the most?
fake.
You want to see something, Brendan, that'll make you think this is the most suspicious thing. One of the weirdest things about the moon landing is the post-flight press conference. Have you ever seen it?
No.
It's really weird. It's real weird.
Well,
I mean,
that would make sense where if they did fake
conspiracy hippo
Skeptical hippo
goes, what the fuck is going
so
on
you guys
here?
are open to the
'Cause if
fact
you
that maybe they
watch-
faked it because now you're open
Eddie.
to the fact that maybe
well, no,
they faked it.
I maybe they did fake that, but you can't just lump. And I'm not even
Exactly.
saying they did.
That's the
do
greatest achievement of
Yeah, but
mankind.
it's
But
still-
at the time, there's
and it's
a reason
okay.
to
You know
do
what?
it. But
we
at
got
the time,
new
there's a
people.
reason to do
we got
it.
new people now. Come on, man. That's hilarious.
So you're saying
guys.
all of them
how
are
am I-
bad?
How can you see how I can't trust shit from NASA?
But it's
they
not that
fake
you-
sick,
but do you
so I
understand
should
that it's
trust
not
them
that you
because
can't trust shit?
because maybe they you know all those bad people have died and they're all old, and the new NASA they're the good NASA.
They can't all
You're gonna
be
believe
bad.
that?
Well,
But
no, how do we know
what's,
they're bad?
What's better?
There was an
believe in
agenda.
that or believe in a guy on YouTube that says the world's flat and dinosaurs aren't real? What's
He
better?
lives out his mom's
It's not
basement.
like that. There's a lot of people saying it. Man.
Okay,
There's a
all those
lot
guys.
of
There's a lot of
people.
people in
There's
mental
a lot of people
institutions. There's a lot of people in jail. There's a lot of people that are child molesters. There's a lot of people.
lot of racist
if you
people
gave those
have
people
clubs.
videos, if you gave every racist person a video camera and made them a YouTube video, you'd be like, oh,
Have you
YouTube's
watched-
all filled with racists.
Have you watched History of Flat Earth by Eric Dubay? Have you seen that?
I sure have it.
You haven't seen it?
How
Watch
long
it.
is it?
Watch
How
it.
long- no,
It's
how
an
long?
hour.
Eddie,
It's an hour.
Eddie, no.
I don't have an hour for that.
There you
That's
go.
so
You haven't
ridiculous.
looked into it.
You're asking for a job.
What's
No,
the side? You
the
gotta listen.
fuck
What is their
looking
side?
into
What is
it.
their side? What is Eric Dubé's
I don't want
side?
to. I
What's his
don't
side?
care
Who
the side
cares?
though. Fourth grade, my teacher. Cool.
Hey, you know what? You don't care, and that's fine. I'm not going to be mad at you for not caring.
No, of course
Don't
not.
be mad at me for caring, though. That's
I'm
all.
not
But
mad
it's
at
and
you
you're
Doesn't
not
make any
okay.
sense
I'm not mad
because
at
you
all.
don't, you don't look into
But
what
don't get mad,
scientists
though.
say.
Why are you getting mad?
Because you don't look into what scientists say. You just automatically dismiss them all as corrupt.
Joe,
you look into what YouTube people
Joe, is this
say.
fair to say the reason why you care so much about Eddie believing this shit and Eddie going, I'm crazy, is because he influences a lot of people. And you
look for the
that's
truth. Find out for yourself. Look for the truth.
Okay.
Look into it like you're investigating it. Just look into both sides. There's a reason why it's becoming huge. There's a reason.
Yeah, because people don't really go to school.
Okay.
Yeah, not huge with the educated people.
They don't learn astrophysics. They don't study all these things. It's hard to learn. The entry barrier is fucking huge. If you want to study physics, you want to figure out. I can barely pay attention to it. I listen to these books on tape, and I have to go back over them 3-4 times just to understand a paragraph. Try to figure out exactly what the fuck they're quantifying. They're talking about really intense shit that thousands of people have been working on in conjunction. They all feed off of each other's innovation. There's so many people working on these things, Eddie. The idea that they're all in on some sort of a giant global lie is insane.
Yeah. That's what everyone thinks.
Okay.
There's no winning here. No, there's no winning.
History of Flat Earth. Look into it.
No. Definitely not.
I can't, sir.
Look
I
into
just
it.
can't.
Why, Eddie?
For
Look
entertainment.
into it.
You
It's
watch
not
Game of
look into
Thrones.
it.
That's not real.
I don't watch Game of Thrones.
You watch Game of Thrones.
I'm anti-Game
You
of
watch
Thrones.
Game of Thrones?
No, there's dragons in it.
What do you watch? Breaking Bad?
I don't watch Breaking Bad.
Better Call Saul?
Nope.
What do you watch?
I watch real shit like First 48 and.
But Eddie, you're not talking about.
Is that a show?
But if you
Is that
watch his
fiction?
Game of Thrones, he
Real
knows it's
shit.
fake.
Yeah.
You're
But
watching
approach it like
Flat
this, like it's
Earth,
fake.
and you
It's
start-
entertaining.
But
Approach
you
it like
don't.
it's fake.
But you don't.
I'm just having fun.
What do you think? Is the Earth flat or round?
I don't know if it's flat around until we see a picture from space. that
You're
isn't
saying
fake.
this bitch could be square.
I don't know what
So
it is.
you-
It could
Square
be
Earth.
round. It could be
What
way.
is
It could
this?
be
Square.
round, but
iPhone
way
HD
bigger.
camera.
With fish-eyed lens. You guys are fooled by the fish-eyed lens? Come on, man. Come on.
Bzzz.
There's
So
plenty
it's
of
fake?
pictures without the fish-eyed lens that you could find. This fish-eyed lens, you guys
But
are
do you
getting
understand
fooled by some
perspective?
basic-ass kindergarten.
Do you understand
fish-eyed lens.
perspective? Do you
I
know
do.
that if
I do
that, at
understand
that
perspective.
high, if you didn't have a fisheye lens, you're looking at this tiny fraction of the surface. The
Take
reason
the
why
fish-eyed lens off.
Eddie,
That's it.
they do.
This is from 1946.
How do you know that's real?
Could be fake.
Because it's a picture?
I read it on
How
the
do you-
internet. That's why I know it's real.
I don't know. How do you know it's real?
You
You're a
guys are wasting-
photographer.
If you could
How do you know
show
it's
any,
real?
I'm going
I
hard
could
on it
do
now.
a
I wear it on the
selfie
fucking
from
internet.
space like this, and
Would you?
Eddie,
That's
that
real?
shit's
Would
fake.
you
That's real?
Yes,
Would you
that's
be
real.
open?
Okay, that's real to you.
Eddie, would you be open to talking to
I don't
an
care if you
actual-
believe that's real. I don't care.
Would you be into talking to an actual astrophysicist?
Yes, I would love to.
Like, what would you do
So-
if Neil deGrasse Tyson was here? Would
I would
you
have-
keep
I would
these
have questions
these
for him.
same arguments?
I would have some questions.
But would you listen to him? Like, if
Yeah.
he told you some shit that actually made sense? Or would you just think he's a
No,
part
totally.
of
There's no way.
getting paid
I-
off by
I-
the round Earth society?
I think he's there's people that they push to be the spokespeople.
And there's really brilliant people that are good at talking, and they're educators like him, and then they get on television and people love it, and so he comes back and then he does a hit show called Cosmos that reenacts the Carl
brilliant.
Sagan show, and everybody loves it, and more people understand science now than ever before.
because he breaks it
It's
down.
hard,
for the-
Eddie. You know, it's hard
Don't
because
be
you didn't
mad.
go to school for
Don't be
this.
mad.
I'm not mad.
Okay.
But look, I love you, man. I love you.
Good.
You know, I
just
love
don't
you.
want. I'm just trying to. I want to be able to talk about flat Earth and have fun.
Okay, but it's not fun for me because I think there's some 16-year-old kids out there that are listening to this and they think you make sense. And the problem
Well,
is
what's wrong with that? Who cares about that?
Because those poor
What's
kids are
happening
gonna-
to me? What's happening to me? My life is going to
wasting
shit?
time.
No, it's having.
I think it's wasting time.
Dude, you fucking come on.
Come on, Eddie.
You do a
No.
lot of shit. That
I do
is-
waste time.
That you would consider a waste of time if you
Some
didn't do it.
people would.
If someone was all into
Sure.
pool and he was obsessed with pool, you would say you're wasting your time. What are you getting
Right,
out of
but
that?
when I hit those
it's okay
balls,
for you to
I know
waste
they're
time.
real. They're real.
Okay.
I hit those balls. They go into the hole. It takes skill and concentration, and it gives me something to occupy my mind. It's a game. It's a mind game, and it's a body game. When you're watching a fake video the guy made about
You think it's fake.
nuclear bombs not being
you
real.
think it's fake.
Okay.
That's what you think.
Okay.
I mean,
I just feel like all the people that study it at all the universities have come to a conclusion. And then one guy makes a YouTube video, or 20 guys.
There's a bunch of
let's say
guys,
there's
dude.
1,000.
Santos Bonacci.
Why?
He's
But
good
why
too.
would you listen to them versus
what credibility
all the
do
people
they have?
for
Because-
generations after generations of studying the science behind it,
You gotta
repeatable
listen
science?
to it. There's a lot of shit. You
Repeatable
gotta listen
science.
to it.
Right, but you just told us about this one test, and you parroted it out as some sort of a theory that we should look up. And when we did, it turns out it didn't even work. It wasn't repeatable.
You okay? Whatever.
Eddie, I love you, but I don't like the way you approach these things sometimes because I think it confuses the fuck out of people like I was when I was young. I was super gullible. I believed all kinds of stupid shit, and I wasted a ton of time.
Like what?
Especially with successful guys
all
saying
those
certain stuff.
Goddamn UFO people, man. All those UFO stories I bought and all that shit.
I never got
Eddie, have you ever heard of the
bullshit.
law of perspective?
Yes, I know exactly.
Do you know
what
that's
that
not
is.
real? It's not a law.
What about it?
They're giving the definition of what perspective is.
You know
but
what the law of perspective is?
Yeah,
I know what it
I'm
is.
trying to tell you though, real quick. There are laws of conservation of energy and such in physics. There are actual laws that they can be translated without even speaking language. It's math. The law of perspective is not one of those.
What is it? Tell me.
It's just a definition of perspective.
is it?
I'm asking you what the law of
I know what
perspective
it
is.
is.
What is it? Because it's not real.
Maybe. Well,
Go for it.
maybe. So you're saying there's no law of
I'm saying it's
perspective.
not a law.
What is it then?
Like
It's
when
a
you say the
definition.
law of gravity.
But what is it?
It's a definition of the word perspective.
Yes.
That's not a law.
Well, the laws of perspective are one of the laws is
No, there are
the
no
horizon.
laws of perspective,
The
though.
horizon
That's
will
not-
always
no,
rise
that's not real.
to high level. That's to eye level. That's not a law.
real.
It always
No,
happens.
that's not-
It
that's not
always
a law.
happens.
It's not a law,
but it
though.
always happens.
But
It's a
that's-
law if it happens.
That's not a law. This is where you don't understand part of the laws of science. That's not a law. That's a definition.
Okay, and then what
definition
is
of
the
a noun.
what is the definition?
Definition of a noun. It's a person, place, thing, or idea. That's not a law.
Okay.
That's just the definition.
All right.
Okay.
You know what else is? I used to call this double lotus for years and years and years, and it's not double lotus; it's full lotus.
It's not a law, though, right?
But it's not double lotus either.
not a law,
It's
though.
not double lotus
But it's
either.
just,
That's just my
what
point.
you're saying is you're talking about a different word for the same move.
Same move, yeah.
What he's saying
The
is
rules of perspective,
that
is
these
that
people
better?
that
No.
use-
The
that
rules
use
of
that
perspective.
It's not
definition.
better because
the definition of perspective.
Hold on.
It's the same thing.
Because
whatever you call it,
You
God,
gotta,
Allah,
all
whatever
right.
you want.
Well, when you look up this stuff online, I try to type in the law of perspective because I want to see what you and Eric Dubay believe that is.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I ever find with the law of perspective is the word flat Earth with it, or maybe there's actually the Urban Dictionary has a definition
And
for the
now
law
let
of
me ask you something.
perspective.
What does it matter if it's law of
But it's not a law.
Because it's not a
perspective
law.
or
They say
definition?
it. But they say
It matters
they're
because
using
it's science.
But if the horizon always rises
That's
to
not-
a high level,
that's not a law,
you can
though, my
consider
friend.
that. What would you call it then?
You don't believe in gravity, though,
We'll call it
either.
a thing of perspective. How
You don't
about
believe
that?
in gravity either. That falls at a constant of 9.82 meters per second. That's the law of gravity.
Gravity's a theory.
No. You
Nikola
guys have a
Tesla-
theory of what gravity is.
Yeah.
Density, but that's another scientific word. You guys say that if it's more dense, it falls, but why does it fall? Why would it fall lower if it's denser?
Because it's heavier than.
Why is it heavier? Do you know what?
Because it's denser.
We're only
it's
heavy
denser
because
than the
of
oxygen,
gravity.
so it falls.
We're only
but
heavy
helium. How come a helium? How about?
Because
how
it's
about,
a gas. Helium is a gas. We're only heavy.
It's lighter than
It's
the
a
oxygen.
gas because
That's
of
why
we're
it
in the
rises.
atmosphere.
It's lighter. It's lighter. It's less dense.
I'll explain. It's lighter because we're in the atmosphere of Earth.
Isn't it less dense though?
If we were in space, there is no atmosphere. That's why everything floats. Gases and us. We're dense too, but we would float in space just like gas.
If you do float in
If we
space.
got into space, you're
If you
correct.
believe
If we
that.
got out there.
If
So
you believe that.
Can we not go to space?
I don't know how far we can go up. I
But
don't know.
Eddie, you know the space station.
I'm not sure.
You said the space shuttle went into orbit.
I don't know how far it went
You
up.
say
It went
they
up
don't-
pretty
you
high.
say
I
they
don't
don't
know
know how high.
I don't know
Okay,
where it went.
but you know-
I knew it. I know it took off. Saw
Right.
that.
Okay.
And then I see it landing. You see that?
Right. You know
I don't
it
know
went-
where it went.
You know it went way
I don't
higher
know
than a
where.
plane, right?
For sure.
Are you not confused on what laws and stuff science are, though? Do you not see that?
Okay, we'll call it definition.
But
of,
it's- but you
what do
can't-
you? What do we call it?
But that's not.
What do we call it? We'll call it whatever you want.
In science,
I
we
used to
call
this
things
double
laws.
lotus.
We don't call them definitions. In science, there are laws.
So why does
because
So what is that?
that law, which is most
the
in most
horizon
of-
always
Eddie, you
rises
can't
to eye
talk
level.
over him.
In
You
most-
can't
What
talk
is that
over him.
called?
In
Let
most
him-
cases,
I'll
it's
agree with
math.
you.
Hold on a
In
second.
most cases, it's math, the law.
Okay.
So that math, then, that formulaic equation can go to any country and work. I don't need to speak English to the guy in Germany to explain to him what I'm trying to get out of it. He can test it with the same things, the same variables, and get the same thing out of it. That's why all these things are laws, not definitions.
Okay, good.
Cleveland's finest,
Thank
Eddie.
you for clearing that up for me.
Does that work? Do you accept that or no?
I
Well, the problem
totally
is
accept it.
people use this verbose terminology because it makes them appear smarter than they really are. It
Trying to
makes
get a
them
point
say-
across.
No, Eddie, and they're trying to say it in a fancier way because they really didn't go to school for this shit. So they say a bunch of shit that's not real, like the law of perspective, and it's not a law, and it belies the real problem. They don't have an education in this stuff. they're just talking out of their ass.
And they get
That's
other people who
disrespectful,
follow. Yeah.
disrespectful to the fucking generations of people that have been studying that their whole lives. That one guy can figure out all these different things, that dinosaurs aren't real, nuclear bombs aren't real, the Earth is flat. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Satellites aren't real. It's ridiculous. His one guy is
It's
he
not
must
one
be
guy.
the smartest
It
person in
isn't
the
one
world.
guy.
Well, that one
It's a
guy,
lot of guys.
that one guy that you're pals with,
a
you
lot of
love
guys.
that stuff. That guy's got videos on dinosaurs, on the fucking
He's your
Earth being
friend,
flat.
Eddie?
He figured it
He's
all
my
out.
friend now. I had him on my podcast.
You should ask him how much money he makes off the flat Earth. I'd be interested to know that. He's written a
I
lot
don't
of books
know.
off and a lot of YouTube videos.
I don't know. Isn't everybody making money? I don't know.
I'm just saying.
Isn't NASA making billions?
Well, he's not
Listen,
NASA.
the bottom
He's a
line is
guy with a YouTube
NASA.
account.
NASA lied 6 times about the moon missions. I don't believe
We
shit
keep going
coming
back
from
to that.
them. That's it. But that's the root of it all. So don't be mad. That's why
That's
I don't
not the
believe. You should
root of it
understand
all.
that.
That's
oh,
one
but
event.
they're different now. Those guys
so
are
because
dead.
of
Come
that,
on.
the
Come
most
on.
preposterous idea available, that every photo of the Earth is fake. And there's no
NASA
photos.
tells you that.
There's no
NASA
photos.
tells you that.
There's no
They make
photos.
videos of the composites.
Eddie,
They have special videos.
You don't,
They're
you don't
telling
find
you.
a problem that there's no photos of the Earth being flat? Not one?
There's no photos of the Earth being round
There's
either.
there's plenty.
No,
there's
not.
not even
NASA
any
will
fake
tell
photos.
you. NASA will tell you they have a CGI artist. How do we skip over that?
I think we can't get anywhere
NASA
with
can't
this.
even get a
I can't-
picture.
I
That
think
doesn't
we
mean
can't.
that doesn't mean
They
anything.
never
Keep
proved
going in circles,
that CGI
dude.
artist was never proved.
It always goes back to that for me.
Jamie,
It's like
you
they
didn't see
faked
anything
6
in there
moon
about the
landings.
CGI, that
He
article.
just said he puts together data and
Yeah.
makes photos out of
He
it.
puts together data because it has to be interpreted, because you're talking about 1.7
You got to play the
terabytes.
video.
You said tregabytes.
Play the video of him talking.
Yeah.
The video you
fuck
told
is
me
a
to play
tregabyte?
wasn't
No,
him talking. though.
that was the wrong
Isn't it
one.
terabytes
Obviously,
or
there's
terabytes?
There's a
a
terabyte.
bunch where he's talking.
Terabytes like 1,000 gigabytes.
It says
I
it
think.
word for word. He goes, "Well, it is photoshopped. It is Photoshop. It has to be. It's." That's
I don't-
exactly what it
Not
says word
meaning
for
it's
word.
fake, though.
It has to be. He's saying Photoshop.
He
What
didn't
is-
say it in that article.
But he did say it coming out of his mouth. You just got to find the
okay,
video.
but when you're talking,
Yeah,
you know,
dig deeper.
Photoshop doesn't mean that they're distorting the image. It also can mean that they're connecting a bunch of different images to make a
Panorama.
composite.
But when you watch him talking about how
Okay.
he put together the official picture of Earth from space, he's talking about cartoon animation type shit. He's talking about his own imagination.
Well, maybe because he's talking about this insane amount of data, 1.7 terabytes, maybe we don't understand how the fuck that gets interpreted into an image in the first place. I don't even know if it's possible to do it in, you know, like to have an in perspective. Like you're looking at like a 12-inch screen or a 24-inch screen, whatever the fuck your monitor would be, and you're going to take this 1.7 terabyte image and shrink it down so it fits in there. I don't understand
You
that.
gotta mess with some shit.
I don't.
All
know,
I,
I don't
all I
understand
see is the
that.
finished product. Is it admitted CGI composite? It's admitted. It's not even.
I don't know why you guys
But
do
all
this.
of a sudden, the
You keep going
Japanese
with
got
this.
real
Yeah.
ones. The Japanese got real ones, but
Can't do
NASA
it.
can't figure it out.
But
Oh,
they-
come
Eddie,
on.
Eddie, NASA does have one. That's what the problem is.
They
You
don't.
keep saying they don't.
From 1972, they're
No,
saying the
no, no,
only
no,
real
Eddie.
one they
The one I
have is
just
from
pulled up-
1972.
The one I just pulled up is up right now. That there's pictures from today. That Discover one. You said that
Go
you
ahead,
didn't.
throw some pictures
I,
up.
I deleted it. I'll get it right back.
Okay. You guys can
But you-
believe
but
that.
why-
That's way
but
cool.
why
And what is it?
disbelieve?
And what?
So
I
you
don't
believe in
because
the
they
space
lied
shuttle.
6
You
times.
believe in the space shuttle, but you don't believe in anything else. That's where it ends.
No, I
So
believe in the
these
space
photos,
shuttle
satellites,
goes up and flies around.
DirecTV.
I don't know what it does.
Dinosaurs.
I don't know.
Here it goes.
Last
This is
year,
it.
That looks fake as fuck.
April 16th, 2017.
Anything you guys toss up, he's gonna say
I know,
fake.
that's
It
why-
looks
I don't know
fake.
why you
I'm
guys
being
do that.
honest.
But you know,
They
I don't know why
fake
you
them
do
all
it.
the time. I
Do you-
see the fake ones.
do you
the
have
admitted
evidence
fake
that you
ones,
would accept
and it
as real
It looks.
to
It looks
disprove yourself?
just like the ones that were admitted that were fake. Let's say that.
Let's turn
I don't
this
know if
off.
it's fake,
Let's turn that
but they
off.
look
Let's turn that
exactly
off.
like the ones that were admitted fakes.
Will you
They
accept
they look
anything?
So they're all fake.
If they were
Or is there-
real,
will
if
you
it
want-
was real,
Can I send you to space and like would you need a
what I'm
videographer
saying.
with you to?
I just
to
want to see
shoot
something
the
that's
video
real,
too?
man. I just want
Elon
to see something
Musk
that's
sent
real.
his ass up there.
Okay, let's.
I
let's
seen
try to-
a bunch of
let's try
fake
to
ones,
stick
and then you
this
show me that
landing.
one. I go, that looks like all the
Okay,
CGI ones I
okay,
see.
Okay.
I don't believe it.
Let's try to stick this landing. God damn, this is a motherfucker of a podcast. Jesus. I worry about you, Eddie. I really do.
You don't need to, man. I'm fucking better than ever.
I know
dude. You
you're
have
doing
no
great,
idea.
but I worry about you going down these rabbit holes of
Hey,
thought.
what's the big deal? Who cares if the Earth is round or flat? It's entertaining to me.
I understand.
That's all. What's the
think
big
you're-
deal?
I think you're very influential.
Who cares if if kids start looking into flat Earth? Good. Start questioning shit. If you look into it and you have proof that it is round, instead of going, oh, some scientist figured it out, somebody figured it out, but you figure it out. You try to figure it out.
Okay.
You know the one thing that all we know that we don't need scientists to figure out is we know a couple things. a compass. A compass points to north. It doesn't need a battery. There's this force. No, I know. Let me explain. This is all we know. This is all we know. It's pointing to the north. It's a magnetic force in the north. That's all. We know that for sure. I don't need a scientist to confirm that. I know that there's a force in the north, some kind of magnetic force. What else don't I need a government scientist confirmation from? The North Star. It's right over the north. Let me finish. Let me just finish. The North Pole, the North Star, Polaris, is directly, coincidentally, over the North Pole where all the compasses are pointing. All the compasses are pointing to the North Pole. There's this magnetic force in the North Pole, and coincidentally, the Polaris. No, I'm just saying the Polaris is directly over the North Pole.
You know, there's been multiple North Stars.
Is Polaris directly above the North Pole?
Do you know that there's been more than one North Star over the history of the Earth?
Where did you get that information from?
From the internet.
Exactly.
So you don't believe that, Eddie?
I don't know. I mean, is Polaris the North Star? Is Polaris the North Star?
Let me read this, please, because it'll explain. Right now, Earth's rotation axis happens to be pointing almost exactly at Polaris, but in the year 3000 BC, the North Star was a star called Thuban, also known as Alpha Draconis. And in about 13,000 years from now, the precession of the rotation axis will mean that the bright star Vega will be the North Star.
That's according to NASA.
That's according to every scientist that studies it, Eddie.
How do you know that?
Because that's why it's still up.
How do you know How do you know that? You just said some stuff you don't know. Every scientist.
Said I don't know. Listen, there's no dispute about this. I bet Jamie could pull up 100 different fucking things that'll show you the same thing
on the internet.
But it's not just on the internet, Eddie.
It's okay if you get information on the internet, but it's not okay if I get information. It's an information war. That's what it is. It's you get your information. There's information on both sides.
But
it's
Eddie,
okay. Internet's okay when you guys look at it, but now when I look at it,
North Star changes over time. University of what is that, Michigan?
It's only okay if you guys look at it.
Okay.
Does that make sense? That doesn't make any sense. That's not science.
Why does that not make sense?
No, I said it doesn't make sense that the internet only works for you and not for me.
No, it works when you keep looking at it over and over and over again from all these multiple sources. Wouldn't you just assume?
You said over and over and over. You didn't say. You said over and over and over and over, and then you didn't.
Eddie, why are you playing games? This is like you're playing tic-tac-toe. You're not looking at the truth. Okay. You're playing like a little jiu-jitsu game here.
Hey, if you want to believe NASA after you know they faked six, it's all government science.
Okay, why you tell me then? Why does that compass point towards the north?
I don't know. We know it. There's a magnetic force in the north. In the North Pole, right? And we know the Polaris is right over the North Pole, and the constellations rotate around Polaris. Polaris is a fixed star, and the constellations rotate around that, and it's right over the North Pole.
How much time have you spent going over astronomy? How much time have you actually spent?
Is that not true? Is that not true?
No.
Explain what did I say wrong?
You guys, you and Eric Dubay repeat that over and over again, like the sky doesn't change at night.
No, I didn't. No, what I said, I never said that. I said
you said the stars don't move, and
does the Polaris star stay ahead of the north over the North Pole? Yes or no? And do the constellations rotate around Polaris? No.
The
yes or no?
constellations don't rotate. No.
No, they spin around. When you look at time-elapse photography of Polaris, you could watch all the constellations going. Polaris is the fixed star. That's why you can go. You could find your way around. Just find the North Star. It doesn't move. Explain that.
And if the Earth is spinning like we know it is, what's directly above the Earth would stay the same because the Earth is spinning faster than space is. Earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour in a circle. Even though the cosmos is spinning, the cosmos changes as well. There's a lot of things that change. And the sky looks different
Polaris
all the time.
doesn't change. It stays right over the North Pole.
But if you were spinning, and you're talking about a small window of time, when they're taking these time-lapse photographs, they're taking them over a few hours.
Yes, but
do you understand that? That if you're looking up over a few hours, and you have one light that's directly overhead, and the other ones are circulant, the one light that's directly overhead over a few hours is not going to move enough to register in the photograph. But the ones on the sides are. When you're looking at a time lapse, you're looking at a time lapse over a few hours. If you were looking at a time lapse over months or years, you would see that thing spinning too.
Polaris would still be in the same spot.
No, you'd have the precession of the equinoxes. It changes the rotation of the Earth. The Earth it wobbles on its axis. Okay. They've been tracking that forever.
You could watch time-lapse photography on YouTube.
I know are you not listening
you
to
could
me?
Watch
time-lapse photography is over a few hours, Eddie.
Yeah, and over a few hours, you can see
the Earth
constellations.
Moving 1,000 miles an hour.
You can see constellations circling around Polaris. That's one motion, right? You capture one motion in that time-elapse photography. But science is telling us that there's 4 motions going on.
There are. They're just much slower. You're talking about something that you're looking at that's very quick over a very short amount of
But
time.
year after year, decade
Eddie,
after
look.
decade,
Eddie,
Polaris
look
is in
up.
the same spot.
Not
Yeah.
even, none of these stars are staying in the same spot.
You got to find one of Polaris.
Why would I
Where's
look
Polaris?
for the specific one that
Where's
you're looking
Polaris?
for?
Find Polaris.
But Eddie,
and then
come on,
find
man.
a time lapse.
But
Because
just look
that's
at
the
that.
only
What are
one
you
that isn't
looking at
moving
right there?
and everything's going around it.
Eddie, what are you looking at right there? When you see that time lapse photo
And
of
I
space,
see shit spinning.
right?
Yeah.
The Earth in the sky is
Is
up
the
there.
sky spinning or is the Earth spinning?
What do you think?
I think the sky's spinning.
Jesus Christ! Why would people be lying about that?
I think
Why would
those
they lie
lights are
about
moving.
that?
I think those look at right
it
there. There's
is.
Polaris.
Right. You know why? Because it's in the center, Eddie.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
It's always there.
No,
Like a 30-second
no.
picture.
No, you're talking about something that happens
But
very
all those
quickly.
other constellations are moving really quick.
Eddie, it's the one that's directly overhead.
Okay.
If you have a ball and you spin it on your finger like Michael Jordan, the outside equator of the ball is going to spin like fucking crazy in this big, long, wide loop. But the tip of the ball is going to spin in a very short, tight circle.
Okay.
Right? When you see the Harlem Globetrotters,
You can test it yourself, Eddie. If you just point a camera in the same spot out of your window for like 3 months straight, take a photo, maybe even 4
I'm
or
talking
5
about
as a
Polaris.
test.
I'm talking about
but
Polaris.
Eddie, we just
I'm going to
pointed
give you
it
an
out.
example to test it for yourself to show you that the stars in the sky that you'll see above your head, like you've claimed to go out and look out every night, will be different throughout the year.
No. They won't be different. They're moving. They are rotating. They are rotating
They won't-
around Polaris.
They're not going to be in the
Polaris,
same spot. is what
because
I'm
they're
telling you.
rotating. They are moving.
Okay.
They are moving. But you're always going to see Polaris.
Why would you think that this is a conspiracy? Why would they lie about the Earth spinning when it's really the universe spinning?
Are they not stars?
They're trying to control us.
I don't know.
What are they?
I don't know.
People.
LEDs?
People looking down.
I don't think they're
Aliens?
LEDs.
Grandpa,
Are they
grandma,
aliens?
happy people.
They're souls.
They're angels.
You're telling me my grandma's up there?
Flying unicorns, bro. Your grandma's flying unicorns.
I haven't even told you the craziest shit.
Oh,
shit!
certainly
No, I haven't
have.
even had nothing to do with flat Earth.
You son of
I
a
haven't.
bitch.
No,
What's
crazier
the
than flat.
craziest shit?
Can't tell you.
Crazier
Why?
than flat
Can't
Earth?
t- crazier
Why save
than
it?
flat Earth.
Why save it?
I don't
Come
want
on,
you guys
blow
to make
my
fun
mind,
of me.
Eddie.
You don't
I don't
want
want
to
you to
make
make
fun
fun
of
of
you.
me.
Have
You
I
guys
made
already
Eddie-
making fun of me for flat Earth.
I've
Yeah,
never
but
made
I'm
fun of you.
trying. I'm just listening.
I just don't trust NASA.
I
all right?
understand.
I don't
You're in the
trust
safe
NASA.
zone. You're in the
I
circle of
understand
trust.
that.
You want to hear
understand
some
that.
crazy shit?
Please.
You promise? Okay.
I'm scared.
Can we
right.
end on this?
Yeah, let's end.
Okay.
No,
We'll
I want
talk
to end
about
on the
it.
crazy. I want to end on crazy.
You sure?
For next time.
Yeah, just don't make it long.
Drop
Hey.
it now and we'll go into
Drop
it
it
next
and then
time.
cut
Yeah,
it.
you know, if you drop it now, we'll never make
No,
it out
drop
of here.
it, then cut it.
It's 6 o'clock.
I know. I just wanted to.
Oh
Drop it
shit!
and
Yeah,
cut
at 6
it.
o'clock.
Yeah, it's 6
yeah.
o'clock.
Give
We'll
my
save it
son
for
a
next.
bath.
Unless you want to hear it now. I don't know. It's too crazy. It's too crazy.
Let's go. Do it.
Let's go. Do
It's
it.
too crazy.
Okay.
It's
next
really,
time.
really crazy.
Let's talk. We'll talk off air about this.
It'll
Holy
discredit.
shit, my
Hey,
head
it's
hurts.
so crazy. It'll discredit the flat Earth theory.
My mind can't handle it, Eddie.
Everything is a conspiracy.
I left this one to
You
you
need
guys.
a T-shirt
Yeah.
that says "Everything is conspiracy." You make
Life is a
Alex
conspiracy.
Jones. You make Alex Jones look like fucking like Gandhi.
Fuck yeah.
Like
The guy-
Alex Jones is like 90% of the conspiracy theories. Like, well, that's all bullshit. You know.
Yeah.
But Eddie just
He's
fucking,
fully in.
You
You gotta
have
appreciate the hustle by Eddie.
You'd have
Alex
the
Jones
ultimate
is like a blue belt
show.
conspiracy theorist.
You'd have the wow. I can't believe you said that.
Wow.
Let's end on that. Let's end on that.